What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about a topic that some of us DJs have to deal with from time to time, especially if you're working in the wedding space. And I wanted to talk about big rooms and smaller crowds. So you're in a room that can accommodate a ton of guests, but for whatever reason, you don't have a ton of people on site at that event that you are part of as a working DJ. And how do you handle it? So I want to offer you 3 really quick tips on things that I always take into consideration and I try to put in play so that the weddings still come off incredible, the floors stay packed, and so the room actually looks or presents itself bigger than it actually may be in reality, especially on social media, in videos, and in pictures, because in the end, that's what's going to carry on after that celebration ends, in addition to the memories and all that stuff. So these are real deal things that I've dealt with, and specifically, this is my second wedding of a 3 wedding weekend here in the world of SCE. And last night we had a large room that we typically have twice the number of guests in that we actually had on site. Tonight we're here at the Shadowbrook home base for us, and we again have about half as many guests as we normally do. And tomorrow I have a small, intimate, tented wedding. So 3 smaller format or smaller sized events in 2 large locations. The tent will be staged appropriately, but this room we're in tonight and the room we were in last night accommodate a lot of people, and the planners and the team that work at the venues did what they can to position the tables proper and to use as much of the table space as they can, but the dance floor still can accommodate a lot of people, and we only have so many people in the room. So what do we do? How do I deal with it? And what's possible? So first and foremost, I kind of already talked about this briefly, but the staff last night and the staff tonight have done a great job in laying out the room to take up as much of the floor space up as possible. How do they do that? Now, this is not like a DJ thing per se, but I think it does come into play for how the room looks, and we are part of the celebration, and it's our responsibility to do what we can. So this is a tip to offer people that could be potentially dealing with this situation that you're working with, and that is strategically line up the tables and try to fill the space however possible without making it look bare, right? So what do we do? In tables in a room that might typically have 12 or 10 people at it, we reduce the number of people at each table. Maybe there's 6, maybe there's 8, and we add additional tables to use up more floor space so the room presents itself as full. That looks great in pictures, it looks great in video, it looks great in social media, and it gives it a different feeling, right? I think people like to feel like part of a crowd, and I feel like this uses up the space and presents the room being maybe more full than it actually might be in reality. If you were to take 12 people and stuff them at a table, everyone's going to be nice and tight, and I know that a lot of venues do that, but when you give people a little bit more arm room and space, you can actually use more tables, so it gives you more room. That's number 1. 2, your setup. I think it's super important to take into consideration the things that you can do with your setup to inch in a little bit closer, to use up more floor space, and to close in the area that may present itself as being open, even if you have every single person in the room on the floor at any given time during a dance set. So tonight, it's not really something that's possible because we're here on the stage. The stage is where you set up at the Shadowbrook. Yes, we could bring our equipment off the stage and close in the space a little bit more, but it doesn't really look good. And I feel like the vibe of being in this room is being up on the stage. It's plenty of room. Tonight we have a number of different services. We have Dancing on the Clouds, we have Sparks, we have our double media DJ booth, we have our sound system. And in addition to that, they're using the team here from Merge who do the in-house lighting. So there's not a lot going on stage. We have musicians that are gonna help us edge in a little bit to the room and use up some of the space. One tip for what I like to do for introductions, for first dances, and for some of the bigger moments of the day is I like to invite everyone to stand out of their seats and close in around the dance floor. I feel like you can't really do that in rooms that have 200 or 300 people, because it takes a little bit of time to move everyone from their tables around the dance floor, and there's not enough room around the dance floor. But if you have 100, 110 guests and you have a room that can accommodate a number more people, then this is something that is fair play, fair game, and something that I always do, especially for introductions. If you can do this, it'll close in the area. Their photography, their cinematography will look like the room is full, because the backdrop for these iconic moments, like their first dance, their special dances, it'll have people in the background as opposed to empty space, and it looks like it's full. I feel like that's just the vibe, right? So we do that during cake cutting if they're having a formal cake cutting, and we do it whenever we can to close in the area. With our musicians today, we have saxophone and electric violin complementing the DJ presentation. We have them on the floor. They're going to take up a little space. We also have our spark fountains on the floor taking up a little space. We're trying to do things to close in as much of the area as we can, so that if we get all 110, and when I get all 110 or 115 people in the room on the dance floor, it's going to look like it's very, very busy. We want to present it as being full. We want to present it as being, like just on tilt and everyone having a good time. And visually, it has to look the part. So that's what I like to do. The third piece of advice is about how I program or plan out the dance sets for weddings that are a little bit more intimate. And one of my biggest tips is not to come in full throttle. See, when you're working a wedding or an event that has 200, 300, 400, 500 people, you can come in and just drop the hammer right out of the gate. When you have a large room and a smaller crowd, you have to be a little bit more sensitive to who you're playing to. You have to be a little bit more sensitive to how you play and the speed, the cadence of your mixes, and you need to make sure that you don't overdrive the room too early. So for me, I'm gonna kind of assess the situation when we get everyone in the room and how the room feels when I'm doing introductions. If I feel like I'm getting a good response out of everyone and everyone is ready to celebrate and have a great time, awesome. Maybe I'll pick it up a notch. If I feel like I still have to earn their trust, and this all depends on like their culture, who they are, what they do, all that kind of stuff, I will make sure that I don't overdrive the room too soon, because what I do not want to do is the older people that are in the room, I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I don't want them to check out. I don't want them to turn off. I want them to feel that they are part of this party and that the music will relate to them in some way, shape, or form. Now, it's hard to do that for every single person, but that is the overall goal. So I try not to maybe overplay the room or come in too aggressive right out of the gate. I try to make it super inclusive so that everyone feels that they are part of something. I try to make sure that all of the songs have vocals that connect to the people that are the masses on our dance floor, and I try to make sure that everything is comfortable and not too much. And I feel that I try to ride a cadence in terms of mixing and quick mixing and in and out that makes sense. I try not to play things too long, but I certainly don't try to play things too short, where when you have a full room that's totally on tilt, you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can move through things really fast and be punchy with your mixes, and you have a little bit more, I guess, leeway to get creative and to just kind of go crazy. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying in the beginning of the party, you have to be very, very aware of the situation, of how people are receiving and responding to what you're doing. So don't overdrive the room. I think it's a tip that a lot of people miss the mark on, and I've seen people do a lot. And it's something that I think really does matter. I forgot about this and I had to add it in. One more quick tip. Just because it's a smaller or more intimate wedding doesn't mean it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be enjoyable. It's not gonna be full throttle for the people that are here. So never forget that. Make sure that you're giving this celebration your all, and make sure you're putting everything you can into the performance so that everything connects. Make sure that you put so much time, attention, and care into the event, regardless of how many people are in front of you. I know that Nick from my team at SE always says every wedding's a Super Bowl, and it's something that you can't forget. So just because it's a smaller, more intimate celebration doesn't mean it's not gonna rock. It doesn't mean that you don't have to like put everything into it. Just keep that in mind, okay? Now let's get back to what I was saying before. I appreciate you checking out this video. I want to invite you to support me and this channel with some sub love down below. If you are not part of the community here, I'd love to have you part of the community. Every like, every comment, every thumbs up, every subscription matters. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this to the very end. Be on the lookout for more content coming to this channel in the days, weeks, and months ahead. And check it out. If you need help with something, you have an issue, you're running into obstacles, you're not sure how to deal with something, please consider hitting me up on Instagram at Jason Jani, where you can send me your topic requests, so to speak, for content right here on this channel. And I'll do my best to record content that's relevant and constructive and helpful to help you get over whatever it is that's in front of you that you're struggling with. Anyway, appreciate you. Thank you for checking this out. Be on the lookout, more content coming right here to this channel in days, weeks, and months ahead. And I can't wait to show you what we do at this party. Thanks for watching.